What do you hope can be achieved by this one-day visit from the Prime Minister?
I think a better understanding between the two countries on the issue of fighting of terrorism and extremism, because there are certain doubts in the minds of the West that Pakistan maybe is not playing its full role. So I think it clears that misunderstanding. And then I think it could contribute also to better relations between India and Pakistan if Britain could play some role in the background.
Because this is to a certain extent a kiss and make up visit after the Prime Minister's trip to India, when he said that Pakistan was looking both ways and there was seen by some to be promoting terror. That angered a lot of Pakistanis at the time, yet there is some evidence that some terrorism is exported from Pakistan.
Well, yes, it did anger Pakistan because if Britain is that sensitive about fighting of terrorism, which they should also be concerned about Pakistan's interest of the resolution of the Kashmir dispute. He should have at least mentioned Kashmir there also. That would have gone positively, I think, but he didn't. So unfortunately, he is not visiting Pakistan. Also went against the idea of visiting India alone, because there are over 1 million Pakistanis living here. We are on the front rank fighting terrorism. I think it was in the fitness of things to visit Pakistan also. But having neglected that, now also criticizing Pakistan in India and not talking of Kashmir in India, I think all went against him.
But there does seem to be some evidence, quite strong evidence, that since you left in 2008, that Pakistan is turning in quite a strong anti-Western direction. You know, we've seen, for example, the murders of a couple of prominent politicians who were opposed to the blasphemy law. Would you accept that is the mood?
Yes, I think, unfortunately, it's appeasement being carried out by the government and not taking very strong action against these extremists. Because the moment you give them this leeway of appeasing or turning a blind eye to whatever they are doing, they then get more encouraged.
But when you read a poll in this week's Economist, for example, showing that 80% or very large majority think America is the greatest threat to Pakistan, much greater than the Taliban, that does suggest that it's going to be very difficult, really, for Britain and Pakistan to pursue a close friendship.
Well, this is rooted in some historical perspectives. We were going absolutely all right. We were strategic partners of the United States till 1989. For 42 years, we were strategically oriented towards the West.
But now you regard them as the enemy.
Yes, because what happened after 89, we having been ditched absolutely, left high and dry after the defeat of Soviet Union for 12 years, and therefore every Pakistani used to ask me when we joined the coalition after 9/11, the common question at every occasion was, how do you know United States will not ditch us again, use us and ditch us again? So these are sentiments which went down to the people's level beyond 1989.
It's also the case that in parts of Pakistan, effectively there is no centralised rule of law, that you've got in tribal lands and elsewhere. You know, that's where people think Al-Qaeda are still basing themselves to a large extent.
Yes, there is Al-Qaeda and there is Taliban also there, but basically that is only about 2% of Pakistan's population, and where they are fighting now, North and South Waziristan, is 0.3% of Pakistan's population. However, the important thing is whether the government, what the government is doing and how the government is addressing this issue of terrorism and extremism. That is the important part.
I mean, obviously they're your political opponents. I mean, how do you think they're doing?
Well, I think they are committed towards fighting. Strategically, it is in Pakistan's interest to fight terrorism and extremism, to defeat Al-Qaeda and Taliban. So there is no doubt in that. This government is also, whether they are my opponents, I would like to give to their credit that they are fighting, they are trying their best to fight terrorism and extremism. But they have to be firmer and stronger against extremists in our society. That is where they are appeasing, I think.
But do you believe that Pakistan poses a threat to people in this country in terms of exporting terrorism?
I don't think so. I mean, but that doesn't, we can't say Pakistan poses a threat. It's those terrorists who pose a threat. We can't say that it's the government of Pakistan. When we say Pakistan poses a threat, it appears as if the government of Pakistan is encouraging them or facilitating terrorism. That is not the case. The terrorists are, first of all, targets is Pakistan itself, the people of Pakistan. Look at how many people are dying there. So therefore, it's the terrorists which is the common enemy to all, the whole world and Pakistan.
It's a situation that you, as a former president, can't go home at the moment because there's an arrest warrant out for you?
Well, that is an issue, but that is absolutely not why I am staying back. I have entered the political arena and I need to generate support, and I am organizing this party and putting it on ground. The moment I feel enough political support, irrespective of anything, because I know all legal cases, whatever there is all politicized and we can fight them in the court.
But isn't that really Pakistan's problem, that its political leaders have gone to extremes? There are assassinations, but there are also the use of the courts and imprisonment. It's not behaving in a modern democratic way.
Yes, I agree. There is a degree of vendetta, vindictiveness in the politics of Pakistan, unfortunately, which must stop. And while the government has to deliver and the leaders have to deliver and they have to be honest and above board, there should be no vendetta and vindictiveness against any opposition.